Hey everybody, it's Dr. McDonald. Um, Sorry for the voice, suffering through looks like a January chest cold. So I wanted to take an opportunity and react to your reflection assignments. In many ways, it's a method by which we're going to go through some of your maybe concerns, your fears, your apprehensions as you start the semester and go through the process of writing the paper. So what I did was I combined them into, and there was several, you can imagine, areas of repetition as far as many of you said the same thing, which is good. And I want to address all of those concerns that you have. So what I'm going to do is go through that. I'm going to pull up that list that I put together, and then I'm going to encourage you to make sure that you're doing all the reading and also looking at the uh, different assignments, especially those video tutorials. Okay, so let's take a look-see here. Okay, and I'll try to make that bigger because I know it kind of gets lost a little bit in the video recording. All right, so narrowing down the research topic is a concern that I'm pretty sure was addressed in the first video tutorial, and it will be addressed in the second as well. So your default position is to look at the 12 to 15 page paper and say, oh my gosh, that's a lot to do. I better write something very broad, like the causes of the American Civil War, which not only have been covered ad nauseum, meaning over and over again by experts who have a lot more time to devote to that. And it's just too big of a topic. So you might be surprised to find out that when you narrow down your topic, it's not confining. It allows you the freedom by which you can, again, insert your own opinions into this and strengthen your own argument. One of you mentioned the possibility and the exciting prospect of being an expert or having expertise in that area, which is a great statement because in some ways you are. So you're going to go out there and you're going to find, and in many ways it can be intimidating when you look at the sources when you're scratching the surface. But you are going to be an expert in your particular subject. And you're going to develop an argument and research questions. All right. This is inevitably your thesis. All right. You're not going to summarize, you're going to make an argument. So make sure you do watch that first video tutorial. And the other thing is to do the reading that's there. Now, the reading is not simply to give you busy work or it's something that, oh, I've got enough to do researching. Why is he making me do reading? The reading does apply to every assignment. And so what you're going to notice is that, yes, I mean, you're not going to read the whole book. There is a sample research paper in the Benjamin book. It's one that Dr. Smith and I carefully chose because it gives you a lot of the background and lead-in information to each of the different assignments that we put together for the class. And every assignment kind of builds on getting you to that preliminary or rough draft and then your final draft. So keep that in mind. So I've had semesters in the past students ask me questions and I've said, look, these have been addressed in the video. Well, I don't watch the videos. Watch the videos. Read the book. There's not a lot to it, and sometimes it repeats itself. There are areas that you need to go back and read, especially when it comes to things like citations. And it covers everything on how to look at the sources, how to evaluate sources, how to organize your notes, how to stay focused. And so all of that goes into the preparation for the class. All right, along with what I've usually paired up is the outline that you see as I talk is also available for you to look at. At some point in this semester, you're going to write a formal outline, and I wouldn't wait until maybe that assignment is due to write an outline. I would write an outline maybe as you were starting to chart out uh, your paper. So let's get to one of the first logistical things. The paper topic, I moved to Wednesday the 28th. Now I know we have some impending weather coming up, and this class is online, so it shouldn't matter all that much, but I know everyone's focus and priorities are in other places right now. And so let's just put that off until Wednesday the 28th. This is the Dropbox, and I'll be able to make comments on it. Usually most of the comments are no, too broad, lacks focus. So let me just make sure to save a lot of back and forth that you are specific as possible with that. The other, as we get into week 3, I think beneficial. This is something I require. I'm not sure about Dr. Smith, but we have a library research consultation, and you are required to do that. And it's not, help me write my paper. It's not help me narrow my focus, because these librarians are great, but they're not historians. So what they will do, whether you have a general research topic or if you have a Louisiana topic, and I linked 2 individuals, Professor McDonald, the other Professor McDonald, yes, that's my wife, is the head of research over at Watson Library. And she is more than willing to meet by phone, in person, video conference. And what she will do is walk you through the different library catalogs and show you how to get resources. The other name there is Miss Donna. Donna is the archivist here at Watson Library. She's on the 3rd floor. If you want to do a Louisiana topic, this is who you talk to. So these are the folks, and their contact information is here. And then in a later week, you will write something like a reflection assignment, the post that you did before. And you will explain once you went over with either Miss Anna or Miss Donna. So again, every step of the way, we're here to build from the paper topic to the bibliography to the formal book review to the thesis statement, the outline. Everything builds on getting you towards that paper. That's why we have these assignments. We have small assignments, large assignments. It keeps you on track. Okay, so let's go back, if I can find it again, to some of the concerns that you had. Argument and research questions. Yeah, you have to be very focused. And the book is clear on how to do that. A question that can be answered very easily. I think the example they use, and maybe I used it in the video, is who was the first person to sign the Declaration of Independence? Well, you can figure that out really easily, and it's not going to require 12 to 15 pages. But the argument they use is something like, if you, in an argumentative research question, where did the artist who painted the signing get information right and wrong? And maybe why, why would they do that? So that's a research question. Okay, interpreting sources, consult video tutorial 1. And there's a difference, obviously, between primary and secondary sources. Your paper has to be primary sources, at least 3, and they can come in the form of a collection that's at the archives. They can come in the form of, once again, a primary source collection, but most of your sources are going to be secondary. So I tell you the difference between primary and secondary sources and how to do the different ways to look at, again, bias point of view is all there in understanding sources. Okay, another that came up repeatedly were style guides and citations. I will tell you that we are using the Chicago, also known as the Turabian style. That's what historians use. I've done writing where the editors asked me to do MLA or something else, but it's Chicago. That's what we have in the back of the book, Chicago to Arabian. So if you're ever unsure, number one, you can go online. There are style guides that are really helpful. But also, depending on your source, you can find it in the back of our Benjamin textbook. So every kind of source you will possibly use. Now, let me say one thing about sources as this is developed over the last couple of semesters. I don't know why we got away from using books, monographs. Okay, this idea that um, journals are the way to go. Journals are fine, and certainly they're part of research, but nothing is as good as picking up a book. Your book review is going to be of one of your sources, a secondary source. So it's a way to kind of get through an entire book, a secondary source on your subject, and at the same time, you write out a book review. So lately, over the last few years, I've noticed a lot of a couple of primary sources, not really any secondary source, books, and a lot of journals. That's not good enough. And as you see in the syllabus, you're going to be graded on the percentage of secondary sources that are books. Go to the library, go to a library, okay? Use interlibrary loan to get books that are out there but are not available. Many of our books we don't have are e-books, and you can download them and you can get a version of the book that way. Organization and taking notes. There are sections in the textbook that deal with that. I would just say, keep an electronic record. I write down things. I'm from a different generation, obviously, so I'm going to have legal pads and paper, and I'm going to, if I'm reading a book, I'm going to write down the book title, and then if I'm taking notes from the book, I'm going to write the page number in the margin and then write information there. And that kind of ties into another comment that was made about how to use quotes, and that's a great question. You would, if you obviously word for word, you put something in quotes if you're using an author's interpretation of an event, the French Revolution, so on and so forth. If you're using a direct quote from someone who's a participant in a primary source document, you would quote word for word and put it in quotes. If you are taking the ideas of an author, now there's sections in the book, and I talk about it in one of the videos going forward, called paraphrasing. If you paraphrase and take the general ideas of an author and place them in your paper, fine. Now, you don't have to put open quotes, close quotes, but you certainly have to give credit through the method of a citation. And that's fine. If you don't do that, you're plagiarizing. So paraphrasing, good, with a citation. Plagiarism, bad. Time management, keep up with the assignments. I don't really know what to tell you other than there's an important part of this exercise where you will need to stop researching and start writing. Look, I run into it all the time. I'm an active scholar. At some point, you're not going to find that other source you want to find. You're not going to get that different nuanced interpretation. You got to sit your behind down and you got to write. And that's what time management is about. So keep up with the assignments. There's no one looking over your shoulder, patting you on the back, asking how things are going. You need to do that on your own. Better writing comes from reading good writing. That's the only thing I can tell you. You have to practice at it. We'll have a later video where we talk about writing and how to write well. Active voice. Okay, the pitfalls not to go in and out of. And certainly you have to also remember that your rough draft, the first word in that is rough. It can be a rough draft, and then it will improve. So that is some of the things I wanted to relay to you. I wanted you to feel that I was responding to your concerns and that most of your concerns will be addressed in the video tutorials that are out there, in finishing the assignments, and then going back and forth and using the resources at the library and me and everyone else who is here to assist you. So I hope you get a chance to view this video. Obviously, you are if you're listening, and that it was some help, and we'll be in touch again soon.